Hello there. Welcome to this little session. This one is going to be just a little session for the heart. There's so many experiences we have in this world that we live in that we react to. Our reactions to them can prevent us from having a truly open heart. The heart walls that we create that may occur from these experiences can actually act as a shield in times when we feel vulnerable. And at a subconscious level, like we may feel that we need these. And maybe sometimes we do for a duration of time. But sooner or later, these blocks, they'll become outdated. We won't need them anymore, and they can actually hold us back and they can actually cause us harm in the future. So, let's just spend a moment working on these, shall we? And I hope that you feel some shifts, and I hope that we can clear our hearts just a little bit more so that we can be open to just some of the beautiful things in this world that we can receive. So let's get started. Just go ahead and take a centering breath here. We're going to work with three images today, and we're also going to be working with some tools, and I'll introduce those as we go along. Okay, so our first image, well, let's take our deep breath first. I didn't do that yet. Okay, first image. It is called the mountain climber. And our first tool is going to be this art tool. And this is called True and Honest Heart. And I see this piece as a visual prayer. When I was creating it, the sound of a river came to me, and it does have a very watery theme, and you can kind of see it here in the picture as well. It's like it's fleshing out the things that we are surrendering, things that we are ready to let go of. So, as an extra bonus, people who are on my email list will be receiving a PDF of this piece today, actually, the day that I am putting this video up live. Okay, so just imagine here for a moment. We'll have our tool next to us as we work here. Imagine the mountain climber. This mountain climber has been climbing for some time. He is very experienced. He's gone up higher on the mountain today than he's ever been before. The air's getting thinner and he's on all fours at this point. He's practically scaling this very steep incline. His hands hurt, his feet hurt. Breathing is getting more difficult. The sun is getting so hot. Personally, I know very little about mountain climbing. That's what I imagine it could get like at some point, though. There are some feelings of hopelessness and failure starting to come up for this mountain climber, and he's starting to get to the point where he does not think he can continue. I have to stop. I have to stop. He says, it's just too hard. Let's tap and breathe out on these feelings of hopelessness and failure. To me, the hopelessness just seems really big. So focus on just the hopelessness for just a moment. Imagine it gathering together in this big ball. And imagine a giant hammer smashing it. Now, when I did this exercise in preparation, I saw six pieces left after we smashed it. So let's breathe out 6 times. Okay, so we're breathing out on hopelessness 6 times. Big breaths out, please. Just 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Awesome. If you feel like you need a little more time with this, you can pause here. If experiences come up for you that have happened to you in your life that you feel like you still need to process, it's a good idea to stop here and just journal on those. Write all about the things that you felt in that experience, all the things you would say to the people there, and then dispose of it somehow. Help that energy move through your life so you can get past that. Okay, now we're going to tap and breathe out on failure. And I think we'll just need 3 big breaths out on this. But once again, if you feel you need more, you can pause here. If you feel you need to journal here, just pause here and do that. You won't regret it. Okay, but for the sake of the video, we'll continue. 3 big breaths out on failure. One more time. Big breath out. Excellent. Okay, now we get to breathe out on the belief that this image has brought up of I have to stop. It's just too hard. And I was thinking when I was preparing this, like, what does this actually apply to? And I got to thinking about this mountain climber and how it took a lot of years and perseverance and dreams and mentoring and equipment to get up there on the mountain. Um, and to be in that position where he was before he said this belief of I have to stop. And I feel it got me thinking that for him, this climbing the mountain is like a life mission, like one of the bigger things in his life that he's meant to conquer. Um, so so let's just think about that as we tap and breathe out this sentence. Okay. And the sentence is, I have to stop trying to conquer. It's just too hard. So if you feel led to tap with me, if not, you can just breathe and we'll breathe out 3 times. But first we'll say it out loud. I have to stop trying to conquer. It is just too hard. Breathe it out. I have to stop trying to conquer. It is just too hard. I have to stop trying to conquer. It is just too hard. Excellent. Now, let's replace that belief. We can choose a new subconscious belief. And the one that came to mind for me is I am meant to keep going and I have all that I need. You can choose to accept this new belief too. You can breathe it in with me 3 times. Okay, but first we'll say it out loud. I am meant to keep going and I have all that I need. Breathe it in. I am meant to keep going and I have all that I need. Breathe it in. I am meant to keep going and I have all that I need. Breathe it in. Excellent. Okay. So let's go back to that imagery of the man on the mountain. And just as he's about to stop his climb, imagine an angel coming to him with an angelic oxygen tank. And the angel straps it onto the man and puts the tube and such where it needs to go so he can take advantage of the oxygen. The great thing about an angelic oxygen tank is that it has no weight to it. And the man with this extra help climbs further than he was. And at some point, he does need to stop for this particular climb. But at that point, he's climbed so much further than he thought he could that day. It just brings him so much hope and so much feeling, just a feeling of accomplishment. And this just belief in himself that he can continue to do this mountain climbing and that he can accomplish his goals and go even further next time. So let's go ahead and breathe that in. Doesn't that feel nice? Breathe it in. Me, that one just feels so good. Breathe it in one more time. If you feel like you need a few more minutes here, go ahead and pause. We're going to continue. Okay, so this image just brought up a lot of emotions for me. So if I get kind of teary-eyed, well, that's just that. And that's okay. This image is called the blanket, and the tool we will be using is this little raw carnelian agate. It has a little bit of druzy right there on the front. It's a little red on the edges. It's a really nice little piece. Let me get it a little closer here. Okay, so this will be beside us as we work. And this carnelian agate is a stone of warmth and courage. And I believe it will be encouraging with comfort. And I love that. Okay, so I'm going to take a deep breath here. Imagine a blanket. It is soaking wet, and apparently there's a child that is not happy that the blanket is wet. And she's holding onto the corner anyway and snuggling that little corner of that blanket. Imagine that this little girl's mother takes the blanket away in a very loving manner, but the little girl still feels betrayed because her comfort item is gone. Imagine the betrayal coming up for her and the sadness. Let's imagine for just a moment gathering all the feelings of betrayal because this one feels a bit large. So imagine gathering it all in this big black ball of goo or whatever it is to you. Imagine it being smashed with a giant hammer. And to me, it looked like there were 3 pieces left when I prepared this before. So we're going to go ahead and breathe out 3 times on betrayal. Ready? 3 times. Breathe out on betrayal. Big breaths. Out of your body. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to take a moment to breathe out 3 times on the sadness. So imagine that sadness and breathe it out. Try to imagine it coming out of your mouth like a dark cloud and leaving your body. One more time. Imagine that this little girl's mother puts that clean but wet blanket in the dryer, and she comforts her little daughter and plays tea party with her while it dries. This brings her daughter delight, but by the time the dry blanket comes out of the dryer, the little girl's ready for a nap. And the clean, warm blanket brings her so much comfort as she goes to lay down on her little bed. Allow yourself to feel that for a moment. Breathe that in, that calm feeling. Breathe that in. You are worthy of comfort. Breathe it in. One more big breath in. Excellent. Okay, this is our last image for this little session, and it is called the clock. And our tool is this big chunk of raw selenite. Okay, and I believe that this piece of selenite will be encouraging the cleansing of untrue perceptions that we're ready to change into something else, into true perceptions, right? Isn't that a great piece? So that will be beside us as we work here. Okay, so imagine for a moment an analog clock with hands, and it has just one big red hand that is staying still, and another small, thin black hand that keeps going around and around the clock nonstop. A small group of business people come into the shop where this clock is, and they happen to see this clock there, and they are just confused. Imagine them wondering, what is this clock even trying to say? they can't get any useful information from it because it's acting in ways that they don't expect. Some of them internally even feel a bit wary and maybe even afraid of this clock because it makes no sense to them and it threatens their idea of what a clock should be. Let's breathe out on this confusion and fear for a moment. Let's do 4 big breaths out. Ready? Allow that confusion and fear to leave your body. One more big breath out. Actually, I think that might have been 3 and I said 4. Let's do it one more time. So nice. Okay. Imagine that a man emerges from the back of the shop and greets the business people. And he's an inventor and he was expecting them, but he just got distracted in the back of the shop for a moment. He notices one of them looking at the clock. Oh, don't even try to tell the time by that one. It's actually just a gauge for a machine that's just on the other side of the wall. So imagine the business people having a little moment of like an internal sigh as they come to an understanding, even though they still have no idea what information this gauge even gives. It's still enough for them to know that it has a purpose and it was made different from a regular clock for a reason. Let's have our own sigh of understanding here, an understanding of purpose, even if we may not know the details. Let's go ahead and breathe that in. Breathe it in. Breathe in that understanding. I love this little session and I love it that you were here to do it with me. And I just hope that you felt some shifts from this. And I hope that you will subscribe so that you can join me for my future little sessions. Have a wonderful, beautiful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.